everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mike's, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin, and we begin each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Hello.
Ruben Bressler.
That was interesting. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's good to be back. Not a lot to talk about this week, so
not much going on. You guys have fun. Just wrap this up. Thanks for showing up.
Take a little nap. It's good.
It's good. It's good. We also have our debut of our sub badges. If you are a subscriber for a various length of time, from 0 to 5.9 months, you get the gray.
Nice.
You get the gray microphone. From 6 months to a year, you get the blue one, and if you're a year plus, you get the gold one.
Amazing. I love it. I see him in chat already. I feel like I need to resubscribe to get one, but I don't really watch this show.
Wow. Well, there you go.
I don't either. It's fine.
That said, we also get started with our trumpet blast. You can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. We had one last week, but we don't this week. But we also get kicked off with our first big and giveaway this week to celebrate the release of War of the Spark. We are giving away a booster box of War of the Spark. Thanks to our friends at CoolStuffInc.com, my employer, who's awesome. We're going to give you that exclamation mark raffle is how you get into that, and subs get 2 entries. So feel free to sub it up and increase that value. That said, we have a first pick, and it's awkward. And it's like really, really awkward. Yuya Watanabe, Hall of Famer since 2016, I believe, was DQ'd from round 15 at the Mythic Championship 2 after they noticed an issue with Yuya Watanabe's deck, where the sleeves for different Urza's Tron pieces were marked in very specific ways. And there was a better translation. Like he wrote a statement. He actually released a statement. He says, I think the evidence, the rough translation is, I think the evidence from the head judge is correct. I agree with the ruling. I'm really sorry that I've betrayed the expectations of the people that have cheered for me. So when it first came out, there was the, this is not actually real. I haven't seen the sleeves. Like, all kinds of crazy stuff could happen. Maybe the opponent sabotaged him and all this crazy stuff. And then they actually released pictures of the sleeves themselves. And, buddy, you're dead to rights. Like, it was cheating.
Yeah. Those are, I saw a couple of comments from people that were like, I don't see what the big deal is. Those sleeves always do that. And no, they don't. Not that way.
Not like that in that pattern. No.
When you've been around as long as we have, not that we're old, but we're seasoned, we're experienced. Got a nice crust on us.
We're old.
And when you, when you have seen sleeves as long as we have and know what to look for, that was what surprised me the most, is that it was so blatant, that it seemed quite obvious. Yeah. And so that was what caught me most off guard. However, I will say that if you're going to, I like, this is going to sound weird, but if you're going to do something like this and you regret doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm trying to get into the mindset here of why you would do this. Not that I'm trying to make excuses or anything, but if you do it, get caught and rue your own decision, this is a good way to attempt to start the process of apologizing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the pattern is really what counts here. I had a situation at Eternal Weekend last year where I was using a pack of Eclipse sleeves, and apparently there were some initial batches of the Eclipses that were faded. And so I was having a match, and my opponent was very nice, and he was like, hey, just so you know, some of your sleeves are not quite as green as your other sleeves. And I truly didn't know. I sleeved up my deck in the middle of the night in the hotel. I came in the morning. We were 3 matches in. And I immediately surrendered myself to the process because I was like, you know what? You are absolutely right. Let's call a judge. And so we called a judge over. They took a look at it. And because they were 4 different cards, it was like a Narcomoeba, a Therapy, a Riftstone Portal, and a Leyline of the Void. They were like, there's no pattern here. And so ultimately the pattern is what redeemed me. But had it been 4 bazaars or 3 bazaars or 4 ley lines, that's the nail in the coffin. And so at that point, all I had to do was re-sleeve. But, you know, in agreeing, and I'm agreeing with Yuya on something, is that he does seem to have surrendered himself to the process where even if the judge had found me wrong, I would have taken that match loss because you know what? It was my responsibility. And I should have looked at those sleeves beforehand. I should have made sure, and I didn't do that. And so had they ruled against me, I would have taken it. I'd have been like, you know what? You are absolutely right. These sleeves are not as green. I did not catch that, and I deserve what's coming. And so I do appreciate that he does seem to have surrendered to the process. I do appreciate that the apology was short, at least the tweets were short. And he doesn't follow it up with, I'm sorry if I let anyone down. I'm sorry anyone felt that way. No, it's truly, I am truly sorry for letting down all of my supporters. It was short. It was sweet. There were no holes in it. I'm a fan.
I mean, honestly, awkwardly, this is the best thing that could have happened to Owen because that just turned all attention to this other MPL member who...
Well, I do want to call out one thing because there were some people that were sharing a picture of Owen and Yuya together in a Hall of Fame ceremony and somehow trying to like equate the two or draw a correlation. There's no correlations to be drawn there. So like you can judge them on their own individual, flaws and merits. You don't need to try to conflate the two.
So basically this is what happens when something like this happens, which is there's a giant fallout. There's a giant, basically loss of respect. There is the shock. There are the people who are just like, this has to be a conspiracy theory. I mean, when I was talking about this to someone who really knows Yu-Gi-Oh, and God bless Yu-Gi-Oh, you have the worst PR I've literally ever heard. It's just a giant hive of scum and villainy because they said, oh yeah, about a year ago we had this problem in Yu-Gi-Oh. What would happen is they would say, oh, can I see your graveyard? And they would go through and like mark your cards in the graveyard, put it back and say, Judge, my opponent has marked cards. Like, it's bad. So it's not, I don't think we're in that level in that world. What I'm saying is now Yuya has this thing that just puts this gigantic smear on his crazy accomplishments. And then you go, how many of those involved cheating? I got people on Twitter that are like, this is clearly his first time. And I'm like, dude, you know what kind of like unbelievably awful take that is? You don't know him. You weren't with him. You weren't at these events with him. You have no idea what he's capable of, what he's not capable of. All the shady stories come out about how he used to try to do a thing and when he was called on it, he scooped. Like that's how all this happens is now Yuya is just almost, just basically put a giant stain on his incredible career.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's done so much is that it was him, like there are certain pros that I'm not going to name that if you were to find out they had cheated, you wouldn't be as surprised or it wouldn't hurt as much where you're like, sure.
For example, there are people when they are found to have cheated or are DQ'd from an event, people come out of the woodwork and say, oh, I knew about it all the time.
But this was somebody that you just had never really heard anything about, or it didn't get too loud when you did. And so that's why it stung, is because of all the people it could have happened to, I don't think anybody could have pegged this. And so that's why it did feel a bit like a betrayal. And it was just a tough week for the MPL in general. But honestly, we wanted to be an esport. We wanted esport prize money. We wanted esport venues. Now you get esport controversies because look how many times we've covered, racist streamers and dumbass, cheating on live television and things like that. And so if you want to be an esport, you got to deal with the esports controversy. And here we are.
I mean, I always appreciate the bluntness of April King at Cube April on Twitter. She said, if I had encountered these at a tournament I was head judging, that player would be walked out the door. That's just kind of how it is. This to me says like Yuya has got to get out of the MPL. Like this has to be, we're setting examples here. This is the first year of the program. Don't screw it up. Like, don't go lightly on this. This was huge. This was blatant. We're dealing with a lot of money, and we'll talk about how much money here later. But I think we really need to say, when this happens, it's serious, and we need to have a serious response. Like, there's a lot of money involved. That said, the Mythic Championship 2 is still part of the first pick. It just kind of ran into Yuya, unfortunately.
Can we talk about how many people were confused by the hashtag? So the hashtag was trending on Friday morning or Saturday morning, and the mundanes who saw that it was trending thought it was like Mythic Championship.
Yeah.
And so I get a lot of my news by clicking on hashtags because obviously there were time zones and things like that. And so I went to click on the hashtag and like every like fifth tweet, you would see some rando that was like, this isn't what I thought it would be, or be like, where are the thick girls at? You would see like, so people were very confused by this hashtag because they thought they were going to see a championship involving thick people, and it didn't seem to be the case.
Wow. I mean, I know Brian Ronduin made a joke or whatever as he does,
Right.
but it's kind of silly.
Yeah, it's awkward. It's I always like those because the hashtags have to shove the words together. It's those are always fun for me. There's a fun one for Let It Snow. It pops up every year. If you see the words all together, you'll be able to figure it out. Shout out to Chris Ferguson who used to use that one with the correct capitalization. But it's there were a lot of random missteps and a lot of things that went wrong this weekend, and they sort of all coalesced together into like bad numbers, comparatively speaking.
The ratings were really bad. Like
ratings were really bad, and I don't know exactly why.
Well, I mean, there's a number of possibilities. I mean, obviously the time zones were an issue. You know, the bulk of your audience, you know, probably comes from America. And
Sure.
By the time we were waking up in the morning, most of the event was over with. I mean, you had a lot of personalities that, you know, the top 8 just wasn't as packed as the last one. You know, the last one was like LSV, Autumn Burchett, Reed Duke. I mean, just the star power of that. You know, this top 8 didn't really have that. You know, you had some decks that quite frankly were a little unpopular. Tron is that deck that Tron was the #1 deck of the weekend. And
Right.
so, you know, that does have that stigma about it of who's going to really tune in to watch Tron, you know? And so you also have, I think, kind of the come down of,
Right.
you know, you had this, you know, the invitational that was done on Arena and had a lot of streamers who really played to the camera and had flashiness and effects and was just so much more in your face than this one. This was a bit more subdued compared to that. So I think there's any number of reasons why this may not have took off as much. You had the pre-release weekend, you had Avengers, you know, there were so many other things people could have been doing
Right.
that were competing for your attention. And I think it was just a lot of
Detective Pikachu, for gosh sakes.
I don't know what that is.
It's not out at all.
No.
It's
Okay,
just in the
whatever.
trailers.
I just felt like it would be.
Well, look, one of the good parts of all of this mess is that Autumn Burchett has been added to the MPL officially. As Owen has left, Autumn has came in, and that is fan-freaking-tastic.
And
Yeah,
then,
I mean, yeah.
before we move on to the good part, I do want to start with the bad so that we can end on a good note, which is they did exactly what Evan thought that they were going to do, which is that they did what the White House calls taking it out with the Friday trash. They released a very short statement. There were no comments. There were no articles. They took it out with the Friday trash and let the weekend news story wash it away.
Well, meanwhile, I mean, Owen certainly participated in that. His Twitter feed is gone. Like, there's no tweets last time I looked. I mean, his profile has been purged of any sort of mention of
He
the
also
MCL.
renamed his Twitch channel.
Yeah, his Twitch channel was taken down. The picture was changed. I mean, he seems to be, you know, an active participant in that sort of, you know, wiping away of things. And so it'll be interesting to see how long it lasts. If anybody, you know, kind of breaks the stalemate here. It was surprising, but I don't think anybody can question the fact that Autumn certainly deserves this. You know, they've had an amazing career these last few years, back-to-back National English Championships. You know, obviously winning the Pro Tour. I mean, the accolades are there, the credentials are there, and I couldn't be prouder. And it was a big moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that is certainly, I think it does pivot into us discussing what literally there was only, as far as I know, literally only one pro player who has said literally anything about Owen, and that was Sam Black,
Oh, God.
who released a statement saying it was really weird to say anything about him. I know, right? It's almost like his closest friends have said actual nothing.
Good.
We never, and that's the thing. But like again, where are we at here? What are we doing? No
Right.
one's saying anything. Everything's uncomfortable. Everything just goes by. We had the Friday wash of the news. Anyway, the point is, he said, I don't have any reason to doubt that Owen did the things he shouldn't have done, and I have no interest in knowing details or seeing proof. It's not my business. Okay, great. That said, I also, or not, he didn't say that. He said, I also have little doubt that anything he did was most likely a result of ignorance rather than malice. And while that doesn't excuse anything, I believe it leaves him worthy of compassion. Whoa. Let's, maybe, talking about like, the victims would be a good idea here. A little sympathy towards those affected would be kind of,
So I have a
It's
couple
none of my
thoughts.
business, but here's my business. Like, what? That's
I have
like, that's like when people say, I don't care, and let me tell you how much I don't care. It's like, You had one job, Sam Black. All you had to do was build us a viable aristocrat deck in Standard, and instead you took time out of that deck building to throw that up. Like, how dare you?
So there's a couple things.
And I still don't know what that key means around your neck either. Sam, where's that notepad document? I want to know.
Notepad document.
Key? Where's that? You know you're in for a good time when you see that iPhone notepad. You know you're in for a good time. Just
do we? Is that a thing?
Yeah. Usually the worst press releases are the ones that happen on your iPhone. Like,
oh, I see what you're saying.
And you can see like it's better. The best part is when you can see like the red spell check. I've had sangria tonight. I'm sorry, people.
Yeah. So there's a couple things here. First of all, Sam Black is very good at cutting to the quick of whatever an issue is. I've always been an admirer of his ability to cut into an issue and break it down into bite-sized chunks. Unfortunately, this one ain't it. This one is so let's leave that off to the side. Sam is very good at this normally. This is an issue that literally anyone who touches will become infected by, corrupted by. There is nothing good to come from discussing this. And I admire Sam for giving it a shot. He did not do it correctly, and it did not turn out well.
And shows why no one else is talking about it.
Exactly. If Sam can't do it, literally no one, I don't have faith in anyone to be able to do it. So don't do it. That is the bottom line here. It's not an issue that is public discourse appropriate.
All right, so to put a bow on this so we can move on to other topics, Yuya Watanabe is officially in the Pro Tour Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Are you both comfortable with that continuing as a result of what happened? It's a big question.
So
it's a big question.
It is a big question. It is a huge question because we have to look at issues like Saito, right? Who was elected and then
disqualified as a result of being suspended.
And he was disqualified for the thing he was specifically disqualified for is typically looked upon less harshly than what Yuya was disqualified for.
Yeah.
The crime Yuya is guilty of is a worse crime.
Right. Saito, for those who don't know, got suspended as a result of asking stupid questions like, what does Wasteland do, when he was running out the clock and should have known better. So
now,
it's tricky because, I mean, obviously I've said this before, I love a comeback story. I think I think there needs to be a path to rehabilitation. I of all people am not going to judge somebody for making a mistake, but I think what matters is how you come back from that mistake and how you rehabilitate. And so it's too soon. We don't know how Yuya is going to play this. And so I think it's just too soon for me to make that comment. I think if we come back a year from now and he appears to have done the work, I think there should be room for somebody to, you get one chance, and if as long as you don't do that thing again, I could possibly get behind that. But if you're going to pull 2 or 3 or 4, then I can't really, if we're going to do a Bertoncini thing where, there have been too many chances and I can't really get down with that. But I've never been as firm on, cheaters as some other people have, where it's sort of one time and you're out. I think, if you can come back and you spend that 2 years of those 3 years really, really working on yourself, I think you should.
There are also people who are in the Hall of Fame who have served suspensions.
Absolutely.
Bob Marr being the most famous example, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is also treated a lot like steroids in baseball, where people have the stats but are not put into the Hall of Fame for reasons that aren't necessarily guilt, but guilt of the public, the court of public opinion.
Right.
So it's too early for me to have an opinion on this. I want to. We're going
to let it digest. Okay, because we got to keep moving. All right, so seriously, but there was a pre-release this weekend of War of the Spark, and Mother of God, this is the most powerful set I have played.
It's crazy.
I think literally ever. I'm not joking. Like, at one point, and I was tweeting about this, at one point, well, first of all, I opened like the stone nuts, by the way, like the actual factual stone nuts. My promo rare was the new Ralzeric, and then Bontu. My first pack I opened was Liliana. My second pack I opened was a Johnny. My third pack I opened was Tameo. My fourth pack I opened was Casualties of War. The fifth pack I opened was Niv Mizzet Reborn, and the last pack had a Karn's Bastion in it. Like, I had the stone nuts.
That's awesome.
and you're just like, this is the haymakerist format. Like,
It
it's
really is.
ridiculous. The power level is crazy, and it's so much fun. Oh my god. We had these insane board states, and my opponent had Nissa, and I had a Johnny, and I'm over here proliferating, and they got a bunch of creatures, and I'm doing all this crazy stuff, and that guy just goes, this is limited? Like, that's how he said it, because, like, you just couldn't believe it.
As long as you have the fixing to support it. That's the one thing I heard about this set, is that the fixing is a little...
It's a little wonky.
Not great. Yeah.
Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. But sometimes you get 2 mana geodes and a guild globe, and you just go completely nuts, because you can. But again, the power level being so high is what makes this so much fun. I remember last year, Dominaria, one of the best sets of all time, when Aaron Forsyth was like, why do you guys like Dominaria so much? And the first thing I said was the power level, because the legends can now be uncommon, and because they're legends, they can push on the power, and that was fun. When you play with powerful things, it turns out that's fun. I don't know if you knew that, but that's why Cube literally exists.
Yeah, the set has had an immediate impact on other formats as well. We'll talk about a breaking deck in Modern currently, but Ilharg is seeing play in Through the Breach style of decks. We've seen that in Modern. There was a black-red list I was seeing floating around, black-red Through the Breach. Narset was responsible for a Vintage Challenge win. Narset is amazing in Vintage, as I'm sure you can imagine. Bolas's Citadel is being tested out currently in the Storm decks. I faced it the other day. Bolas's Citadel in Standard. I managed to track down the young man. He goes by Luke on Twitch, Lewk. Luke Fahey, I believe, Luke Foley. So people are working on breaking Bolas's Citadel in Standard.
I got demolished by Bolas's Citadel deck in Standard today.
Yeah.
With the Explore package and Oath of Kaya, and some stuff like that to be able to cycle through your whole deck.
Yeah, there's a really nice Dimir mid-range deck that's also seen play in Standard with Enter the God Eternals and things like that. And so to me, that's also the sign of a powerful deck, is when you see sort of multi-format waves being made where these cards are powerful enough to impact these older formats.
We haven't seen anything like this since New Phyrexia, like in terms of how powerful it is, how many inclusions are going to older formats. Narset's in Vintage at this point. Like, it's nuts. These cards are great. We haven't even, we're not even really in there yet. Like, someone said Ashiok plus Assassin's Trophy, and I just lost my mind. I'm just like, oh my god.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's the greatest piece of removal of all time now. Nice Path to Exile with Ashiok. Nice Settle the Wreckage when Ashiok is out. Like,
oh man.
It's
some
spicy.
of the Modern Dredge decks have been playing with Blast Zone, and I appreciate, even if they're not necessarily going to pan out, I appreciate that people are at least trying these cards, because the bar is kind of high, especially if you're playing like an established deck. The card needs to be really, really good, and some decks don't even make it to the testing phase where they're immediately kind of vetoed during spoiler season. But the fact that people see enough potential there to even try, I think also says something about the power level, where it's like, there could be something here, and I love that.
Oh no! I think my Mondo combo doesn't work because it's me who makes them search the library, not them. And
Get him, chat. Get him.
I bet that's why exactly it's worded that way. So thank you. And my bubble is popped, and that's okay. I still like Ashiok. Either way, we have to keep moving on here. And also, I won the league last week.
Jesus.
Yeah. So who were your all-stars in your league?
Well, I posted the results on my Twitter, and I will link that to you guys in the chat.
I'm looking here. So
it was me, and then Ruben, and then Aaron.
So I had 2 27s and a 24 with Reduke, John Finkel, and Shota.
Right, and I had 2 out of 30.
Jeez. Evan had Seth with 33, LSV with 30, Andre Strosky 27.
Yeah, my team was so much prettier than yours.
And that's true. And
Your team was way prettier.
Aaron's best finishers were Andrea and Shahar with Matt Nass right behind. But you're right. Yours are much more of a GQ cover than the rest of
wow. Well, you get that award, but
we can get better at the game, but your team will still be ugly.
Wow. Well, look, we have to talk about Wizards announced some WPN changes. Now, listen, Wizards, I gotta hand it to you. You guys are making some really good calls, and I honest to God, like, I am oftentimes your harshest critic, but I like to think I'm tough but fair. And to be fair, these changes are awesome. 5 firsts coming with M20 they announced. First of all, oh my God, finally. You have no idea how long I've been waiting to say this. We don't have to midnight pre-release anymore. Oh my God, yes. This is, like, I'm serious. This is like a 20-year thing that I am so sick of trying to play Magic till 6 in the morning because you just love the new set. No. Now pre-release can start Friday at 3 p.m. Why 3 p.m.? I have no idea.
Because we're old. That's why. I'm
guessing, like, to try to catch, like, the school crowd or something?
Right.
I don't know. All I know is if every school, or I'm sorry, every FLGS right now should just replace their FNM on pre-release weekends with a pre-release. Don't like, they're always the worst. I can show you data from 7 stores. Those FNMs on the pre-release weekends suck. Either they're badly attended, no one wants to play a lame duck format, or everyone's just waiting and got some sleep so they could stay up all night for the midnight pre-release.
Correct.
So this is an amazing change. Oh my God, thank you, seriously. Universal promo packs are coming with M20. These are the promo packs that the premier stores are going to get a bunch of, and other stores are going to get some too. And they are going to have the 4 different slots. One can be a promo stamped rare or mythic from the most recent set. One can be a promo stamped rare or mythic from a short curated list, which will be a public list. A promo stamped alternate art basic land, or a promo card. Well, 1 in 4 promo packs is going to include a War of the Spark Japanese alternate art planeswalker card.
Hey, there you go. That's how you get them.
Yeah.
I have a question. So is it an alternate art of the alternate art?
No. It's the Japanese anime,
Okay.
the
I
Amano
misunderstood.
Liliana.
I was like, is there another? Okay.
Right, so this is 1 in 4, but note that these promo packs, they can be all foil. And so then you have a 25% chance of getting a foil Japanese alternate art planeswalker, which is pretty hot fire. So
Now, are those going to be, the Japanese promos, are those in English or are they in Japanese?
they're in Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah, they're only printed them one way.
Printings with the Japanese art.
Right. There is there are no uncut sheets, something we want to cover later. There's no uncut sheets of the Japanese alternate art planeswalkers due to the process of making them. So, because again, and if you join me today at the Cool Stuff Inc. stream where we auctioned off a box of Japanese War of the Spark, we got a bunch, but we also got a bunch of the regular art as well. Because again, it is 50%. So, of course. But it's still super dope, man. That's Saheeli in real life, like up close. Oh my God, I'm telling you. And we got the Zhang Yang Gu, which had the Mowu on it, which was sick.
Nice.
Like, man, there's some joy opening some of those alternate art planeswalkers. Let me tell you. But we got a Tameo, but it was the existing art Tameo.
The English one.
Yeah, not the new. Okay. That said, not only that happening, you can now schedule events up to the day of. Don't wait on your schedule pre-release stuff early. That's WPN stuff. But if you just wanted to schedule an event the day of, you can now do that, whereas before you could not. They're going to have a Commander event celebrating the release of Commander 2019. That's awesome. Good job.
Really?
We should have been doing this crap for years.
That does sound great. I'm just curious how it's going to work.
Well, they want you to integrate the promo packs. So it's things like, 4-player pods and the winner gets a promo pack, that type of stuff will happen. And they're going to have, I can imagine, some marketing materials and promo materials around it. Not necessarily cards, but posters and giveaway stuff, stickers and whatnot. We'll see. I have no idea what's actually going to happen. WPN Premium Marketing Kits, if you qualify as a WPN Premium store, and it is, I'll be honest, it's pretty cool that when you go to what is a WPN Premium store, there's a shot of Cool Stuff Games in Maitland, Florida. Just saying, that's pretty dope. But they mentioned there's going to be a rotating welcome deck display for them, a poster frame with Magic branded on the bottom, and a lit sign. Well, we've been waiting on a lit sign for years, and let me tell you, all the store owners went kind of nuts over the lit sign, so that's sweet.
It does look, it's a really nice sign.
It is lit,
I saw the photo.
It is lit. Just want to let you guys know. Wow. Modern Horizons is coming. Okay. We got to get that dab. Aaron, I too can dab, okay? It's from 2 years ago, but I can still do it. Interesting thoughts from Maro's Q&A at MTG London. Modern Horizons was originally dubbed Time Spiral / Planar Chaos 2 in concept due to set complexity.
Makes sense.
It won't be an entry-level set. I hope not. And has a lot of mechanics, but is a love letter to the Time Spiral block. Now, if you are an old school in franchise, I've been playing this game since the 90s. I grew up and it's part of, what you do and your identity and whatever. Time Spiral was amazing. Time Spiral in and of itself was a love letter to all the enfranchised players. And it was way too complex and they went way too far. But everyone who loves Magic loved that stuff. Now they get to kind of do it again, but just make really busted modern cards and have some cute references to old stuff, which I'm totally okay with.
Didn't they say there were double-digit mechanics in there too?
Double-digit mechanics.
Wizards.
Yeah, that's how Future Sight was, and
baby.
I think that's the last time.
You realize that means Dredge could be one of those mechanics.
Introducing only to Modern. I'm pretty sure Dredge gets new cards.
I would be such a good girl. I promise. I will be so well behaved. I won't pick on burn players. I won't flirt with judges. I'll be so well behaved.
I would bet American dollars that there will be a card that has Dredge in this set, at least one, and a card that has Storm, at least one.
Oh my God! God help us all.
I would bet good American currency to wager that both.
You know what? I will give you Dredge, but I will do a lunch bet on Storm. I do not believe they'll print a Storm card. I'll believe you Dredge. I won't give you Storm.
It is like really close, right? Because Dredge...
All right, so I'm curious about this. You know what? I will do. You know what? Someone in chat brought up a really good point. I'm going to do it right here now.
Pie bet? Are we pie betting?
Oh no.
No.
If there is a Dredge card in that set, I'm putting up the mountain. I mean, I'm not, because I'm not handy, so I'm going to have someone come over and frame the mountain, and then they will hang it up, and then the mountain will be there. So we're doing that.
Especially if the card that has Dredge is like a red card. But you've cast a lot of red cards recently with Faithless Looting and Conflagrate. So
those aren't technically red cards.
Feel the burn.
Feel it right there.
Yeah, so that's going to be my bet. That's going to be my bet right there. If there's a Dredge card, I will hang up the mountain, write it down.
Right.
Awesome.
I think Ruben and I need to just throw down the pies. Next.
Yeah,
pie.
I'm not willing to do a pie bet or a lunch bet on Storm. That's not a hill I'm willing to die on. I just think that it's if they were ever going to do it, this is the set to do it, right?
Ruben.
Because it's the complexity set. It's the set where you introduce things straight into Modern. The thing with Storm, unfortunately, is the even garbage like Ground Rift can get broken by accident. Whereas Dredge, I mean, there are Dredge cards that don't see any play. You just print them with Dredge 1.
Right, Ruben, it's a hill you're not willing to pie on.
I see what you've done, and I like it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to move on here to alternate art planeswalkers, those Japanese planeswalkers, which are oh so cool. Vorthos Mike Linneman, who knows all about the artist things and artist people. We're going to talk about something we're a little misstep here later. But he note that the artist proofs, there will be artist proofs, just like always, in a couple of days or weeks after release for artists to get them. There's no uncut sheets of the Japanese alternate art planeswalkers due to the way they're made. The Japanese Magic team are working on ways for prints to be made available. The artists can make them, and but stay tuned. They're aware and they want to do them. The Japanese Magic team selected the artist. This was a full top-down plan. They're just as big of fans as we are. That's pretty awesome. And if you like them, let Wizards_Magic on Twitter know, and MTGJP as well on Twitter know. If you like them and you want to see them again, they're very much paying attention to all feedback on whether the player base likes versus loves them. We love them. Just to be clear, There is love in this area for these planeswalkers on this side of the internet. Thank you.
I absolutely love them, and I absolutely agree. However, hold on, Evan. There is something, and I think you agree with me on this point, actually, which is we also love full art lands. Yep. And yet, we don't want full art lands every set.
Yeah.
We love the masterpieces. We don't want masterpieces every set. We don't want to be bogged down with this. However, what I will say is different versions every set. Like, this set has masterpieces. This set has Japanese art. This set has, like, steampunk kind of art. This set has, like Victorian 1800s traditional paintings. This set has some other kind of fanciness. This set has, Eastern European style or whatever. So I think that makes sense. Sure. But I completely agree. We all love the Japanese style art for these planeswalkers.
Yeah, it was a huge home run on that one, I believe. And so, yeah, I mean, we love them, and I hope Wizards continues to make interesting, different things. I think the love was not just that they were Japanese and anime. The love was that it was just new. It was, you've never seen this before on a Magic card. You've never imagined that the Final Fantasy artist is going to show us what Liliana could look like in that, through that lens. And that's amazing. So in many ways, I want to encourage them and also let them know, hey, maybe the, alternate art anime thing is not the only reason why they were so well, loved and responded.
People like new things, changes in the art styles. I've seen a little bit of discussion on this. It's better than it used to be, but there was a period of time where Magic art was very homogenized, even though it was high quality. Recently, Magic has, and by recently I mean like the last 5 years, Magic has much more embraced weird artists.
Different styles.
This
is where Seb McKinnon comes in.
Seb McKinnon.
Right.
Those are the kinds of things, and and it's coming back. But
Well,
I
you don't
definitely
want a whole set of Seb McKinnon. Like the whole
Exactly.
joy of Seb McKinnon is that he breaks up the monotony, where it's
Right.
like, you can have, this beautiful art, or you can have, a weird, freaky child with Silence of the Lambs moths everywhere. That's what makes it so refreshing. I think if you didn't have, all the light, you couldn't really have that darkness. And so I think, you don't want to have a set full of Seb McKinnon. You want him to add something that you don't already have.
Right.
If I had my druthers, and I'll be very quick, if I had my druthers, the art style that I would like to see them try. You all right?
I've bit my tongue.
A lot of sangria tonight, y'all. A lot of sangria.
Slack. I'm having some tawny port myself. The style that I would like, you have your diet cherry Pepsi garbage that you got 6 pallets of in the back.
You messed with me. Be a 7th.
That's right. The style I would like to see is, I know that we've seen some arts that are based on Planeswalker, or not Planeswalkers, on cosplayers.
Sure.
I would like to see cosplay-inspired alternate arts from the people who are the biggest and most notable cosplayers in the community. I think that would be pretty cool.
Absolutely. So, we have not yet touched on the Mythic Edition, but we're going to get there. Someone mentioned that in chat. It's still in the pipeline.
Still going.
That said, let's talk a little bit about some good news from NumotTheNummy. Old Kenji Higashira. If we take a look at here, Wizards sent him a huge Get Well card, a giant GP Lightning Bolt signed by all the peeps at Wizards. And that was amazing. That was terrific. And from what we're hearing, it's looking more and more like this is not going to be something life-threatening. This isn't going to be something that's like cancerous. And that's all obviously
it's not
fantastic.
Cancerous, it's benign.
Not cancerous.
Right, not cancerous. 100% not cancerous. Sorry. Words out of my mouth while I'm talking. Okay, that said, congrats to Kenji. We hope you continue with that success and get the good news out. All right, so there is going to be a Team Modern Super League. And spoiler alert, it's going to be sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com. It's going to be a Team Modern Super League. It's true.
This guy with the branding.
All right. With May 28th, it's going to
Evan's making me look subtle right now.
Wow.
Right.
There's a few weeks before Modern Horizons comes out, so the decks should be fun. So that means they're going to run into the release of Modern Horizons and ideally use a lot of really cool Modern Horizons cards to build some really cool decks and yada, yada, yada. So that's going to be sweet.
You're not even going to say who's on the teams?
Well, there's a lot of people on the teams. So what I'd rather do is I will link you a list of where the teams are listed.
I'll tell you who's
like 30
not
people.
on the teams. Is Team Magic Mike's.
Okay, we can't even get our schedules together to record our show. How are we going to get our schedules together to record somebody else's show?
Listen, I will.
You're off DMing furry conventions. I'm off, playing World of Warcraft.
I will figure my life out if it's going to be a thing. So
okay,
you lay off.
All right.
Wow. All right.
I recently got full-time employment. I can tie my own shoes.
Oof.
I can do the things.
He's moving on up, y'all. All right. There is a new book coming out, a visual history of the Gatewatch mythology. And I thought this was really interesting. I'm going to bring up the cover right now. But it's kind of cool to see more and more sort of mixed media, as it were, that follows Wizards IP, Wizards characters, gives you something to care about. It's on the screen now if you want to check it out. This is the cover, Rise of the Gatewatch, a visual history. I think that's really sweet to see the Jace's League.
300 4-color illustrations for $20 is a really good deal for an art book. One of the reasons why I bought the Art and Arcana book for Dungeons and Dragons is just because the dollar to art ratio you get is worth it just to have a coffee table book, regardless of if there's any story connecting anything together.
Right.
So this is a good deal.
All right. And so that's terrific. And if you want to get involved in that, feel free to do so. I'll go with you badges. Aaron, this is clearly in your wheelhouse. Tell us about it.
Hashtag trans mafia. Yeah. So I'll go with you is an initiative for trans folks. It's a way to show support to your trans friends. And it basically is a more tangible way of showing support. There are a lot of people nowadays who say they're on board and they'll give you like a retweet and they'll give you a like or whatever. But we are in a time where we really need more from you. And so the I'll Go With You movement is as a button or a sticker that you can use. And you're basically saying that if your trans friend needs to go somewhere, usually the bathroom, you will volunteer to go with them because the bathroom still is a very popular topic nowadays. And sometimes you just don't feel safe going into a strange bathroom. You don't know how people are going to react to your presence. And so by wearing this pin or by putting this sticker on your deck box, you are indicating that you are an ally and that you will escort your trans friends somewhere, whether it be the bathroom or whether it be, you know, if you're going to a bar after the GP and you've never been to this city before and you're not really sure, you are saying that you will go with them. And so this was something that actually got started a couple of years ago, back when I think it was HB2 was attempting to be passed in North Carolina, and there was the GP Charlotte. Emma was there with a bunch of stickers and things like that. And then Christy was the young lady who launched the initiative in Europe. And so she started handing out buttons and stickers. And so this appears to be something CFB is getting behind. And it's really, really great. If you have a pin, you should totally get one, get a sticker. We really could use your support. So thank you.
Very nice.
Good on the powers that be to support this, not just to have it be something that is available, but also something that is, not something that's just tacitly accepted, but something that is physically and physically promoted.
Right. It's actually, it's not just like the community does this and we're okay with it. It's like, no, we're going to get behind and work with the community and make it a thing and, be forward and upfront about it. And that's terrific.
Yeah.
They did.
Good on CFB.
Excellent job. So Wizards announced today that the details on watching and qualifying for the first ever Mythic Championship on MTG Arena. This is a $750,000 event that will feature 32 of the best players of the world from the Magic Pro League. Maybe it'll be 31 or 32 if they find a replacement.
It'll be 32. They'll find somebody.
They'll figure it out. Competing against 20 challengers, 16 of which will qualify through MTG Arena play. First prize is $100,000, and all invited players will earn at least $7,500 for qualifying. That's
okay.
It looks like they're not doing the community invites anymore. This looks like it's a hard you have to qualify for this.
Right. This is a qualification only. This is not an invitational.
Is this going to be less grueling than the last one? Because
we'll see. All I know is they said the players will be matched in 7 rounds of play on Friday before a double elimination top 16 on Saturday determines the final 4 that will move on to Sunday. And of course, there'll be a double elimination top 4 throwdown for $100,000. 36 of the slots are locked, 32 to the MPL, and previous Mythic Championship winners, Andrew Ellenbogen, Alan Wu, Ben Hull, and Gregory Orange. And
I'm really happy about.
That's dope. And the last 16 slots are how everyone else gets involved. The top 16 players at the end of the Mythic Championship qualifier weekend on May 25th through 26th on MTG Arena will qualify for Mythic Championship 3. That means if you were among the top 1,000 ranked players during March or April, you qualify for the weekend, so you can actually play in the event. And day 1, you'll have an in-client queue where players play until they reach 8 wins or losses.
Or 2 losses.
Or 2 losses, I'm sorry. The format for day 1 is traditional constructed. Top 128 players will make day 2 and will be contacted with email, or by email with details. There's going to be a direct challenge tournament on that day 2. Now, this can get a little tricky in that if my opponent were to switch out a few cards before they direct challenge me again, is that a thing one could notice? A thing we're going to be able to check or try or verify? Okay. But the players who qualify automatically, let's see, players will qualify automatically at 5-0 or 5-1 after rounds 5 and 6. The remainder of the 16 players will qualify based on their record and tie breaks. So that's cool, but it's happening on June 21st through 23rd. There's a team GP, as I understand, on that weekend. So
is that not Seattle?
That very well could be Seattle, which is usually one of the largest, isn't it?
That's also not a lot of time. It's less than a month and a half away. Like, oof.
Right. So it kind of went into how much money they're putting into this and how much unbelievable equity the 32 MPL players are getting versus anyone else. To have this many slots in the event, to have this much kind of cash rain down upon them.
So that is Seattle. It is limited, not team. But I believe that's Modern Horizons limited. Isn't it? Isn't that how that one works?
That would be good to know. Ari Lax has been tweeting, particularly today, on the MPL equity.
Ari Lax has had a lot of opinions lately.
Yeah, a lot of opinions.
Go on. Is that?
I'd rather not.
Is there are you okay? Let me clarify. Are you not okay with people who have lots of opinions? Or is it the types of opinions that he's having?
Well, look, he mentions Ari Lax on Twitter was saying, look, the last week is a culmination of all the disappointing WotC OP decisions. The Arena MCQ weekend is a spit in the face to the and of Arena and Tabletop. The end of Pro Points approaching with no idea how the system works after, multiple MPL members down, and so on. Claiming 32 MPL members will participate in it is ambitious. I think that's funny. I think they're going to find somebody no matter what.
Yeah.
It seems the only thing Wizards OP is sure of is that they should pay the MPL players more. To put the last point in context, MPL players are getting 61% of the Arena Magic Mythic Championship invite value, $60K each, or 1.38 million total. That means over 10% of the WotC OP budget is going that direction.
Yeah.
Tabletop Mythic Championship players are being told to pay in advance for a summer flight to Barcelona, $1,000 to $2,000 in the United States, to get $500 back guaranteed. So it's pretty over the top how like flush with cash the MPL members kind of get to be in this new system.
It's also interesting to note that there's no way to qualify for this thing through Magic Online.
Nope, not a bit.
True.
And that's the thing. So
speaking of Magic Online is having a meltdown at the moment. Apparently people are having a hard time getting online. And the Magic Online Twitter account is like live tweeting the meltdown, which is like, it's almost like watching a computer get mad at itself. It's very uncomfortable to watch.
Awkward. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on here to our last story of Gather the Townsfolk. We have reports on the Ravnica War of the Spark novel, which is officially a New York Times bestseller.
This was pleasantly surprising, I thought. I saw, with this past weekend, we had a ton of things in popular culture that people could have been obsessed about.
It's true.
Most notably, $1.2 billion for Avengers Endgame, and the culmination of one of the storylines for Game of Thrones. This is a no spoilers zone. However, it was like the most money ever spent on a battle sequence for a television program in history.
Did you see that the producer came out? So there was some criticism because people said the episode was too dark.
It was.
Did you see that the producer came out and was like, you but just don't know how to tune your televisions?
Right. Yeah, it seems like that they I mean, obviously with how much money they spent on it, they filmed it like it was a movie, and so you're supposed to view it like it's a movie in a totally dark room.
Oh, geez.
With a good television. But the problem is you're watching on your friend's HBO Go password. I think friend is even aggressive. You are like on your friend's neighbor's roommate's brother's HBO Go
your
password.
ex-boyfriend's account.
Right, exactly. And so you're watching it on a 5-inch screen, on a flight layover.
I want nothing on a 5-inch
Los Angeles. You're not watching it, and you're listening to it on your airport headphones, and so you're not watching it under the best conditions. So I think that it was a missed translation in that point. But
I do want to talk about a tiny spoiler when it comes to the Magic book, though, because there was a little Easter egg that we finally got clarification on. So when when the new Ralzera came out in, I think it was Guilds of Ravnica, you'll notice that Ral is holding a white piece of cloth. No one knew what that was. We didn't know if it was like a Grim Flayer thing, if he was holding like a rabbit. We didn't know if it was a scroll, if it was cloth. But then if you look at Tomek is holding a red cloth.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make me say it.
They did it,
clarified.
I'm just saying, it was just
that is
great. Yes.
That is a relationship between Ral and Tomek, and that is really cool.
Yeah, it was great. And it was good to see it verified in canon, which was very nice. Yeah. But in any case, I also, even with all of that other distraction, all of that other noise of the Mythic Championship and all these other things happening in popular culture fiction, there was so much discussion on social media about the War of the Spark novel. And so I really was pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah, that was great. And there was a review by the professor, and there's some reviews by other people on Twitter and whatnot. And I think ultimately what it kind of boils down to is that it's a young adult novel. And so you can't necessarily expect, crazy adult-centric themes and lots of sex and crazy gratuitous violence per se. I still think Planeswalkers don't make any sense, but, at least they now have a New York Times bestseller to talk about them.
I think that's awesome.
And I appreciate that we have a new, are you a Ral or are you the Tomek?
Nope.
Oh boy, we did that as a set review.
Nope.
I'm
not signing off on that one.
No. Off we go.
We're fading to guild insignias on this scene.
Fine, more for me.
Okay. It's time to go to Desperate Ravings and Wizards. Okay, here we go.
Right. I forgot that it was time for Old Man Irwin Yells at the Sun.
Oh boy, speaking of fading.
All right, here's the thing. The original Guilds of Ravnica Mythic Edition was a gigantic cluster. Cut to Ravnica Elysian's Mythic Edition, where all the cards looked worse, and they looked like they printed 1 billion of them. And so bad to the point where it was on sale, I think about a week later, almost a week later, and they finally just kind of like took the listing down. What I thought was the perfect fix for War of the Spark, not so much, but maybe it was. It just had some problems. Here's the issue. Now, currently today, they said, hey, War of the Spark Myth Edition is on sale on eBay. Go. And the entire planet showed up and bought one and immediately crashed the servers. There was some sort of payment problem with PayPal, so you couldn't get your PayPal payment. It would say that your order was complete, but it wouldn't. It would later come back and cancel it. The order numbers for like how many was sold, quote unquote, started to get to insane numbers. 30,000, 40,000 sold. And then there were reports that I would almost argue literally every one of the initial orders that came in at like 3 o'clock to like 3:10 or whatever were just canceled. Yeah. Just outright canceled. They canceled every single one of them. The bots were at work, whatever, because suddenly more started to get added to the same listing, and that's where the number of units sold started to go completely nuts. And later, Wizards made a second entirely separate listing on eBay, and from what the reports I saw, they sold about 6,000 units there on that listing before they finally shut that off as well. So then the conspiracy theories start up of, oh my God, they sold 42,000 of this when they said only 12,000 were sold. And now we have the pushback essentially from eBay going, well, they only made 12,000 units available, and we're going to cancel and refund the people who aren't going to get one, essentially. So now, even if you went back and bought one and thought you bought it and actually had money removed from PayPal and got an email confirmation, there is a non-zero chance that your order could be canceled. So, allow me to throw an idea towards Wizards, okay? Now, what I thought was the perfect fix is not, but here's what I think might be. You said you wanted to nail down a print run. That's causing problems, okay? So here's what you do. For the Magic 20 Mythic Edition, you make it available for 24 hours, okay? And at the end of that 24 hours, you cut it off, and whoever got their order in gets a Mythic Edition. You print to demand, and that's the end of it. Because, again, the print run has been the issue. So if you make it a time-based issue, there won't be a rush to buy it at the first second. There'll be a rush to buy it on the one day. And that's a hell of a lot different than, the race has started, the gates opened, and everyone tramples in and crashes everything.
Right.
So just a window. You know what I mean? Give me 12 hours. Give me 6 hours. Give me something that says I don't have to be there refreshing like crazy, hoping to God at 3:01 p.m. that I am lucky enough to get one of these things. That's where we're at.
So printed demand is an interesting concept because won't you, as a finance person, wait until the last second anyway to see how many are bought?
If that number is public, if Wizards can work with eBay to make that number not public, which they clearly have, because that 42,000 sold or whatever disappeared at some point, and that wasn't by accident. Based on reports for people who actually contacted eBay customer service, Wizards did not let eBay know this was happening. And so when their servers got crashed, it was a surprise to eBay when it really shouldn't be. So either somebody didn't make a phone call to eBay or let them know, or somebody needs to for sure next time, because eBay, as a large corporation that runs, auctions, whatever, they can move resources around and they can get prepared for that type of rush to pay and rush to buy. But when they have no idea, that just means all of their call centers got overloaded, all of the servers go boom, and oh my God, we're stuck in the middle. So it didn't turn into a straight cluster, but we're going to see some fallout over the next week as to who really got to buy a Mythic Edition and who didn't.
This was another flurry of tweets that happened, of course, today from pretty much everybody in my timeline. Yep. I tried buying this, don't know if I got it. Tried buying this, didn't get it. Oh yay, I got it. Right. But then there's always that seed in the back of their mind of, did I really get this, or is the internet lying to me?
Right.
the run on a limited edition product is always there. It goes for, for example, I wanted to buy tickets to an event that was happening here in Los Angeles, and they sold out in like less than 10 minutes. And I got screwed over from that because I tripped over the credit card system because I typed in the wrong number.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to happen, and is going to happen when you're running into, to buy Tickle Me Elmos at Toys R Us, right? So this is going to be this kind of situation every single time if they keep doing it this way. Is there now? At least they've switched away from the Hasbro Toy Shop.
That's great. Don't get me wrong.
And they've moved to eBay, which is a third-party thing.
Right. So they're giving away 10%.
Is there right? So first of all, they're giving away 10%. Second of all the numbers are public, and
right.
Third of all, it's a third-party thing. Like they're not depending on themselves, and that's kind of embarrassing from a Hasbro perspective. So is there a way to solve it holistically, by which I mean to keep going with their current system, but instead of using Hasbro Toy Shop, they can develop something better than Hasbro Toy Shop so they don't have to use eBay?
There's only one bastion left, and that's Amazon.
Well, you have to, they have to want to fix it is the thing. And they don't, there is literally no incentive for them to do that. I'm going to be the jerk that says that they have no incentive to fix it if you guys keep getting back in line and waiting for this stuff to happen. Like, I get it. The cards are cool. I understand why people want them. And I also understand that the current system doesn't work, but you have no incentive to fix it if they know that you all are going to be waiting there with your refresh buttons and your debit cards the next time it comes around. This is the third time that this has happened now. Like, this is not, you are not a startup company. This is not your first time at the rodeo. And if you don't give them a reason to fix it, it's going to happening. And so I agree that it's awesome, but I also agree that there's no incentive to fix it. And
well, again, the Ravnica Allegiance boxes did not sell out this way, where there was not a crashing of servers.
Still sloppy. It was still
it was still messy and kind of gross.
It's been sloppy, and until people demand better.
Like this one in particular, because it had Jace the freaking Mind Sculptor in it and Ugin. This was the most obvious, like, unbelievable flip I've ever seen. And so, like, the Guilds of Ravnica was like kind of a risky, I think, a proposition as to where, like, is this going to pay out? I don't know. Are these cards really going to be wanted? Blah blah blah. And it did. Allegiance was, I think, just kind of poorly done overall, and they sold too much of it anyway. And then here they put the pedal to the floor, and this is what happens. So either way, that's a thing. That's the stuff. We got to keep moving here. We're running out of time. There is Japanese alt-art sleeves are coming to Magic the Gathering Arena. Wizards wants to know who you want to see. I have a pretty simple request, and that would be Liliana, Soren, and Tamiyo.
Sure.
And those to me are the three best, followed by Saheeli, and probably Zhang Yangu or something. But either way, I don't really care. Just give me something. I know right. Aaron's just like, what's a card sleeve? What's a thing? What's a stuff?
Right. I would hope that they put the popular characters on, Jace, Chandra, Liliana.
Sure.
And then on top of that, the ones that translated best to the arts.
Right.
Which to me were Zhang Yangu and Tamiyo.
Mm-hmm.
I particularly liked Ralzeric personally.
Yeah, we pulled one of those
Jaya.
today on stream.
I mean, I love Jaya.
Jaya 2 bolts.
Yeah, Jaya 2 bolts.
Yep, I love it. That said, there was an EDH rules update this week to create rule 0. They have added rule 0: these are the official rules of Commander. Local groups are welcome to modify them as they see fit. If you'd like an exception to these rules, especially in an unfamiliar environment, please get the approval of other players before the game begins. Now, I don't play Commander, so Ruben, you're going to have to tell me about sort of how this impacts the real world.
Right. So I like this rule. This goes by on
two.
There you go.
Do you even own any Commander decks?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay.
This is my Atali deck. I keep it in my Atraxa box because this is the box I have. There's my fancy deck box.
Ooh, that's the schmance right there.
From the Elderwood Academy. Free plug. Sponsor us, Elderwood Academy.
Please.
Anyway, So I really like the Rule Zero. This goes by the rule of cool in some circles for different games. It's basically a you check for like what kind of game are we playing, right? Like when you sit down to play a board game with your family, it's a different kind of situation than when you sit down to play a board game with your friends, and it's a different kind of situation than when you sit down to play a board game with 5-year-olds. So this is just spelling that out in game terms. If we're sitting down to play Elder Dragon Highlander, are we there to kill each other no matter what? Is this cutthroat competitive tournament REL? Or are we there to do cool things? What are our house rules? Is there an extra turns rule? Are there any cards that we have decided that we are banning? Are there any rules for mulligans that we need to decide upon ahead of time? Those happen in your local playground regardless whether they're written down in the rules subset or not. Putting them in the rules as quote-unquote Rule Zero, I think is a really interesting idea and worth doing.
Fair enough. All right, so let's move on here to, look, I have had my issues with the trophies that Wizards has chosen to provide.
You really have.
I've been a little whiny about it, if you will. But if they're going to, I know, right? If they're going to give us like this, the multicolor, the kind of over the top, the unique trophies, if you do it well, I can respect that and appreciate that. And if you take a look at Wizards, or somewhere right here, Volpin Props posted on Twitter, our skylights in the shop make for some nice sparkles. Another piece for Magic Esports heading out. If you take a look at that, that is a handcrafted, what looks to be metal and glass and, you know, literally like actual factual craftsmanship.
Yeah.
I gotta hand it to him. Like that's actually a really cool piece. Like that was not cheap. That was not easy. And I gotta hand it to Wizards. Like they went to the right place to get that type of item created.
That's well done research, finding the artisan that is right for the job, and it looks great.
Yeah. So that one is, I feel, an improvement from the previous ones. And again, if nothing else, because I can see the love and the work that's gone in to make that trophy, versus something that felt, I don't know, just kind of slapped together.
Where are his fingernails?
Where are his fingernails?
So if you look at his Twitter feed, there's a picture from the 18th, and he has no fingernails.
Oh my God, Aaron!
Are we talking about this guy's fingernails?
What?
There's a picture. We're going back in this guy's history.
Why are we looking? Okay, I'm not even doing this. This is ridiculous. All right, we got to keep going here. All right, so friend of the show and author on CoolStuffInc.com, Mike Linneman.
Uh-oh.
Kind of stepped in a little bit.
Yeah.
And there was, as you may not or may know, the Ugin artwork for the Mythic Edition and the Nicol Bolas artwork for the Mythic Edition sold for over $35,000 each. That's a lot of money. Right before those auctions ended, there was an auction announced for the original artwork for Nicol Bolas Dragon God as it appears in packs, which has been done. Let's see, by, was it Svetlin Velinov, I think it was? Or maybe Raven Swanland, I can't remember exactly who. But either way, it doesn't really look like a traditional painting. In fact, it almost looks exactly what I would expect a digital painting to look like. And if this is, in fact, real paint, I would be just blown out of the water. And from what I understand, the question was that there is a very broad definition as to what the original artwork is. Is it a painting that was scanned into your computer and you later updated it with Photoshop, which this very well could have been? We don't know. And to me, the question was, could you just take a picture of it? Like, just take a picture of the traditional art that you're going to auction off. And I felt that was the whole gist of it. Now, the way it kind of got twisted and turned sideways was the question of, questioning what traditional art is and what it means, while at the same time, Mike being involved with the Ugin and Nicol Bolas auctions that went for a very high amount of money, and him mentioning that announcing this type of auction for this type of artwork right before those end has a, quote, cooling effect. You're not going to bid like a super high amount on this nickel bolus if you know you can get this other nickel bolus. So just leave that one alone and get the one from the packs, which are kind of cool. So with that said, that kind of got construed as, you know, having an agenda. That was kind of streamed as like attacking artists and stuff, and at the wrong time. Mike said clearly in hindsight, it looks much worse than intended. He gets that. He's sorry. He didn't clarify better. He's not going to be deleting tweets, which for what it's worth, I respect. It's important that people own up to when they're wrong, and far from wrong to question it and timing, but poorly done, but done poorly on my part. He said, sorry, y'all. So.
Yeah, I think this is a case of both sides not handling it well. I don't see how, I don't necessarily agree with Noah kind of spinning it as being an attack on artists. You know, obviously, right. You know, Mike has been a huge force for artists. You know, he was one of the ones who helped mobilize kind of the artist boycott. He's the one that reminds people whenever you're gushing about a new piece of art and you're coming from a major content website, you need to be notifying the artist, because the artists don't know that their art has been turned into cards. And, right. You know, I don't necessarily agree with what either side said, but I don't think it's an unreasonable request. If you're selling a product, I think, you know, certificates of authenticity are a thing with any sort of collectible. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, okay, if you're selling this as being a type of produced a certain way, I think it's only fair for people who are interested in buying it to say, can you verify that? And if it's as simple as just take a darn picture, why is that so? What you're making it more difficult than it has to be? Why won't you just take a picture of it? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, that's certainly, again, I felt that was a very simple request that got turned into something really odd.
Yeah.
I agree, but I also think that the way that it was phrased was antagonistic, and so I
think they both handled it poorly.
Right.
Yeah.
Both sides had faults.
But I commend Mike for not deleting the tweets and for owning it and saying I did it, and you're welcome to come back and see that I did it, and that's how you do it.
Yeah.
This is a good example of good people make mistakes, and we all move on.
Yeah. So just it's nice to note that, you know, I think things kind of went wrong on both sides a little bit, but we found common ground here. So,
and Milk Dud is still best dog.
Still best dog. Yeah. All right. So they have made Legion Supplies has made another foil playmat, this time of the artwork for Liliana in, I believe that's Command the Dreadhorde?
It's Command the Dreadhorde.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and I have it on screen here now. Mike Darkin Lim, the artist Darkin, posted a video of it, so you can check that out. And it is stunning, quite simply.
Yeah. It's really well done. These foil playmats, we saw them at Vegas last year first, and now we got this one. Man, I did not know that technology had evolved to this point.
And I love it. I love all new cool things they've never done before. And they did the Lotus, they did the Lotus image as well. I think is maybe the Planeswalker for the foil stuff the first time, and now we get to actually integrate it into artwork, and that is amazing. So go there.
So Evan, can we get foil playmats for Magic Mics?
No.
Okay.
Because I don't know how much they cost them, and it scares me.
Oh, that's fair.
All right. So MTG Corner has posted an article about Neoform Griselbrand, Modern's latest insane turn 1 combo. Oh my goodness. I'm going to post a link here. You guys can check it out if you want. Aaron, you want to tell us how awesome this is and how much you love it?
Yes. This is a deck that you would think I would be into, because I am a big believer. I worship at the Church of Griselbrand, I'm sure you know. And so this is something I would normally be into, but this is the new scourge of Modern. So this all started with the new card Neoform, which came out in War of the Spark. The goal is to, using free mana, to cast enablers like Neoform. You sacrifice your Allosaurus Rider to get Griselbrand, and then from there you use Nourishing Shoal, very similar to Griselbrand. You exile cards like Autochthon Worm to continue to draw cards, and then finally you hit your Lightning Storm. Or you can just sometimes win with a turn 1 Griselbrand. Sometimes that's fine in Modern. You can also use Seismic Assault as a way to kind of throw your lands at people. So it's a combination of kind of Griselbrand and Ad Nauseam put together. And this deck, people have been picking it up. There was a buyout on Allosaurus Rider. It's just, if you're caught off guard, you have no idea how to beat this. And so there are a lot of people out there, a lot of pros have chimed in on this and said that they are dreading this deck. They are concerned that this could be a very valid thing, and that they hope to God that doesn't happen. And so I have no desire to face it. I don't care for it myself. I think it's a little bit silly, but it does seem to be gaining more metagame shares, and it's a little terrifying, especially in a format like Modern that, famously doesn't have a lot of good safety valves. We don't have Wasteland, we don't have Counterspell, we don't have Force of Will. It can be a little hard to interact with, and so I hope to God that it's just sort of a phase.
The hyperbole went from 0 to 90 miles an hour really, really quickly.
Yeah, I've seen clips on Twitter. I've seen videos. I mean, it just does not.
Well, Mike Sigris in the MPL, no slouch himself. He says, maybe I'm rushing to judgment here, but I'm watching at canister_mtg stream Neoform combo in Modern, and within 20 minutes, I'm convinced something needs to be banned. Certainly the London Mulligan rule can't coexist with this being legal. So this is Peter Glogowski, who Aaron's #1 fan of that guy, as he continues to do very degenerate stuff. Now, look, after Mike Sigris said that, I pulled up the stream that Piotr was doing, and he lost, and then he lost again, and then he lost again, and you know what I mean? Yeah. So he said he went 16-9 total. So it's not like he didn't win at all, but it wasn't like 16-0. It wasn't like 16-2. You know what I mean?
16-9 is scary enough for a turn 1 combo deck in Modern. That I think it's a boogeyman. It's a little spooky.
Yeah. Overall, though, I saw a lot of people today. The London Mulligan is no longer on Magic Online, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter commenting that they miss it, or that they do feel it was a good thing, or kind of looking at how the Pro Tour was looking at the metagame, the fact that Tron was the best deck of the weekend, the fact that some of the boogeyman decks that people were preparing for, like Dredge or like Phoenix, didn't have bad weekends, but they certainly weren't how people predicted them to be, and you see it in older formats and the impact that it had, and at least the people that I follow, the majority seem to think there were net positives there that outweigh the negatives. And so I'm anxious to see when they're going to make that decision and how it's going to pan out.
I mean, he posted a 56% win rate, which is not game breaking. Wizards usually takes action when it gets over 60 or 62%.
But I think it's terrifying that the seed has already been planted, where people have the pieces. And this is by far, I would bet this is not the final version of the deck, but it has people inspired enough to want to fine tune it and want to smooth out the edges. And God help us all if they find a way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, a combo deck is as it can be, which is usually a glass cannon, which if you know how this deck works, if you can see it coming, if you know what's happening, and we have a London Mulligan that may be restored. Note on that London Mulligan, I think Wizards really handicapped themselves on actually seeing if it works at a Pro Tour, quote, Mythic Championship level because of the deck list thing.
The deck list thing, yeah.
You give your opponent a deck list to look over for a minute, and yeah, it doesn't have sideboard numbers or whatever, but like seriously, like you really don't think that didn't affect what people brought and why and what they did on their sideboard and why? Like there's multiple people that I saw on Twitter just be like, well, I couldn't bring deck X because I knew it was going to be at that point spoiled for the opponent to know exactly what I was doing. There was no kind of fun ofs or one weird ofs that you could have in your list because they see it. And somehow that, plus the London Mulligan, supposed to somehow make the London Mulligan, is it good or bad? You've already skewed the results hugely.
You changed too many variables. Anyone who does any sort of experimenting will tell you that it's all about you have to change things slowly and carefully. You can't tweak two knobs at the same time and turn them all the way to the left or to the right. You have to kind of make subtle adjustments. And so you already have this seismic change of the Mulligan rule, and then on top of that you add the deck list rule, and it's just too much. And so I hope the Mulligan comes back, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, well, we don't know. Well, of course you don't know. You were just doing too much.
All right, so we got to start wrapping it up here. We're going to go ahead and turn the corner to the finisher, which we begin with thanking our subscribers, new and old, as well as picking a winner. Let's go ahead and pick a winner to win a full booster box of War of the Spark, and the winner is. Click the button. Neasin, Neasin. Note, if you are outside the U.S., I have to give you a gift certificate of equal value because Wizard says so.
Congratulations.
Nice. So congratulations, Neasin, Neasin. That's the winner. Please contact Aaron to get all of your details. I need the name, the address, also a phone number, and an email address, please. That would be great.
What do you need that phone number for, though?
Shipping companies use it for when there's problems with your package. Sometimes they will text you updates as to how that package is doing, or they have a number to call when something goes wrong. So
people often ask me for my phone number and ask about my package as well.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, why it isn't there yet?
Right, exactly. That's why.
Jeez. Well, thank you to
Why you left it in their door? Okay, I'm done.
Oh my God, Miker Ada6 resub for 4 months. Thank you so much. Super Nintendo Chalmers 1998 resub for 9 months. Ooh, just unlocked that new sub badge right there, I think. Nice. Or no, or 6 to or whatever. Point is, he says I bent my Wookiee. Sad face. I don't know what that means. Thunder Voice 1 resub for 13 months in a row. Resubscription time, they say. Wow, congratulations and enjoy that gold microphone next to your username as you type in there. House of Shadow also resub for 12 months. 1 whole year of taters, they say. And they also get that sweet gold microphone to the left. Thank you so much. Shame MTG resub for 4 months. Thanks much. Let's see here. Bully Man subscribe for the brand new subscriber. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Joe the Marrow, resub for 5 months. Awesome. Blazing Disciple, resub for 10 months. That's terrific. Useless End has subscribed via Prime. Thanks much. Welcome to the channel, buddy. And I think that's all of the sub stuff if you want to talk about the bits.
So, Aaron, there was a request in the chat for you to do the subs in your Fargo accent.
I don't have a list to read. Otherwise, I would.
You got the bits.
The bits?
Where do I see that?
You click from the weekly top cheers in the chat.
Yeah,
that looks like a lot of work.
Oh, you don't want to do it? All right,
I can't get it to work. You know me in technology. I can't even get the fantasy draft to work.
Just throw out that newsman. I love the newsman voice.
Well, yeah, I will do Aaron's impression of the Fargo. How's that sound? So thank you all so much for joining us this. Welcome to Saloic. It's 50 bits this there, don't you know? Tina J, 9 bits, and Shame MTG, 69 bits. That's real nice of you there. Thunder Voice, 175 bits. Eternally Tribal, 250 bits, and Drunk Gaming, 250 bits. Well, thank you so much, everybody. That was real nice of you.
That was terrific.
I don't sound like that.
No, you don't. It was a bad impression.
It's true.
But
well, listen, it's the Mythic Edition, hot and fresh out the system. What's he selling these boxes? Everybody out here wishing that there was more than, one, and eBay wasn't so dumb.
Caucasity.
It's the freaking worst way to sell your
paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia. What is the what?
It's the multiple of paraphernalia.
Got it. But with all that remixed, now that War of the Spark Mythic Edition has come and gone in a matter of minutes, millions of dollars traded in exchange for shiny Ugins and Jaces, and much consternation has been raised yet again about the manner in which those goods were exchanged for said currency. So what can Wizards do to make the sale experience better the next time around, Ruben?
In the future, based on their continual issues with the Hasbro store and eBay, Wizards of the Coast, a subsidiary of Hasbro, will finally figure out that they are only good at one thing: purchasing intellectual property that has already been invented and well-loved for decades and spinning that straw into gold. So with that in mind, they'll go out and buy a well-known and well-loved brand that they already own the rights to. Introducing Hasbro Storeopoly, coming soon to a gaming system or PC near you.
Very nice. Aaron?
Well, Wizards has some excellent brands, namely 2 of them, Magic and D&D. And those 2 games have economies that just work. You have the mana system in Magic, and the currency in D&D just work. 10 silver is 1 gold, always. 1 basic land is 1 mana, always. So for future sales, all Wizards needs to do is go back to the old standby and sell the Mythic Edition using the most reliable currency they have available, Magic Arena Gems.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's never been any issues with the Magic Arena currency.
Yeah, not a once, not a one time. Okay, look, the sale experience is my wheelhouse. It's my specialty. So Wizards, please, I'm begging you, there's a way to fix this, but it's not going to be easy. You're going to use some of that necromancy you got from Magic and D&D and bring back from the dead Toys R Us. If there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that we'd all buy boxes from the reanimated corpse of Jeffrey the Giraffe.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Like an eye hanging out, and there's like some fur missing, it's gonna be great.
Big long neck with just patches of flesh missing out.
Death metal version of the jingle. I don't want to grow up.
played by Muldrotha, the new hit.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, which one came first? Was that a band before this card?
No, Muldrotha. So we have a special post-show edition of the news here. There's like a super group of heavy metal, death metal. I don't know the breakdown of the exact genre, but there's a super group of popular artists from other metal bands that came together to form a group called Muldrotha, which was named recently.
I love it.
Dominaria.
Wow.
The other thing we didn't cover in the show that surprised me is congratulations to Eli Loveman for winning the Mythic Championship. We just didn't reference it. He beat Matt Sperling in the finals with Humans against Affinity, and 2 Canadians made top 4. So that's it.
And Sperling made top 8 because Yuya was DQ'd, which
Right.
was another incredible. Look, the ratings were seriously bad, I think, honestly, and you mentioned Aaron, because there was so much to do this past weekend. It was really hard to get into.
Yeah, and Humans is like the missionary position of Modern, so I don't blame you for not wanting to watch it. But
Wow. All right, with that,
Wow.
that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
thank you for having me.
Thanks, Ruben.
And if you want to hear what the other deck to position ratios are, be sure to sign up for Patreon.
Pre-show
Because
content.
I will be asking this in the post-show.
Doing this. All right, moving to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching or listening, and hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at MagicMicsPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMicsPodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.